Today we unbox Final Hour, the latest installment in the Arkham Horror series games by Fantasy Flight. Let's take a look. Final Hour is a cooperative game of mystery and mayhem by Carlo A. Rossi. Let's go ahead and flip it over and take a look at the back. We can see what the gaming contents are. The recommended age range of 14 plus with a player count of 1 to 4 with an average runtime of 30 to 60 minutes. So this is going to be one of their lighter installments on their Arkham Horror games, but like most, it is solo available. Additionally, I do like how they go ahead, and it is based on their proprietary numbering system, but it is nice to see what kind of sleeves you might need to get if you wanted to protect your game. 5 minutes to midnight, time to save the world. You arrive too late to stop the loathsome rite, and the monstrous, trans-dimensional Ancient One tears through reality. An iridescent rift shifts across the darkened skies, heralding the nightmarish creatures that pour into the hallowed buildings of Miskatonic University. It bells across, cutting through the night. There is only one path left for your fearless investigators. Hold back the horde long enough to somehow reverse the summoning. Gather your friends for a last stand in Arkham Horror Final Hour, a fully cooperative, fast-paced board game for 1 to 4 players. An endless tide of monsters sweeps across the Miskatonic University campus, and you must hold them back, all while searching desperately for the ritual components you need to put an end to this insanity. Playable in under 60 minutes, your fate depends on cooperation between you and your fellow investigators. The odds against you are astronomical, but if you don't succeed, this will indeed be the final hour for Arkham and the world. From the box, we can see a brief setup of what the game might look like. I'm guessing these tokens probably are not to scale. And then, of course, that image that we saw from the very front of the box. Let's go ahead and break this open and see what is on the inside. There we go. All right. Up first, like most games, we have the instruction manual with a nice reference sheet on the back. The first thing I always like to look for is to see if there's any kind of index or glossary or anything on the inside. And no, there is not. Instead, we have what looks like a catalog for their other products. Usually, usually this is in its own separate little pamphlet. I'm guessing they have determined that those probably get thrown away right off the rip, that they put it here in the instruction booklet. They're not going to be sly dogs. Then we get into some nice narrative of the investigators, the university, and the minions by the looks of it. And still no gloss or anything. That's a shame. For a instruction booklet that is 24 pages of pretty small font, a glossary might be useful in this. We'll have to go through and see. Opening it up, we have a nice overview of the game and the components. I especially like that it is a pictorial representation of the components. It really does help you to find all of those items within your game and to be able to correspond them with the correct counts so you can verify that you do have everything. basic components and outline. Setup. And for me, you know, I'm not a young chicken as I used to be. I kind of wish that the font was a little larger in the rule book. I mean, with it already being that 24-page count, it's already a fairly large book. I would have preferred it to be even an additional page or two to get a slightly larger font, especially with it being as wordy as it appears to be right here off the rip. Additionally, there's a good bit of empty space here. I would have preferred a slightly larger font and not had the empty spot or had a, you know, an extra page or two. Yeah, definitely a very wordy rule book. There is a good bit of pictures in here to show you what you are looking at, but a majority of this is the words. So it would have been nicer for me to have this at a slightly larger font. I do like this here, that not only are they talking about the action phase over here, but they're giving you a nice example of it. That'll help with learning the rules and getting that down. That's a nice little addition to the rule book. And the winning and losing condition. Some iconography overview, clarification, very nice. And again, another example of a monster activation. I'm really digging that. I haven't even really gotten into the rules, you know, as this is just an unboxing for the game, but I can guarantee that is going to help sort everything out. And then they have a nice single player rules and overview and single player clarification. Very nice. And some more clarifications. They go back on some of the components within the game that may have been a little confusing. Very nice. Overview of the monsters and the credits. All their play testers. Once again, the sleeves you would want to use. And then here again, we have that lore. I'm a big fan of this. One of the things that I've really liked from Fantasy Flight, and they've added it with their books that they've done up and everything, how they add a good bit of lore to all their games. And here you can see some of that for your investigators, the university, and the three probably head villains that you might fight. Let's see, there'd be these three ancient ones. So it'd be the three different ancient ones you could potentially come up against. Which again, not really looking at the rules, but this also impresses me a good bit that we have three ancient ones. I'm guessing that these are going to be the head villains or the end bosses in it. And being that they have three of them here just within the base, each game will potentially be different from the last because you'll be fighting a different boss, assuming that's what that is. Then we have that promotional stuff, and then once again the overview reference. Very nice. Next we have those monster boss, what I'm guessing, cards in a nice little Ziploc bag. The other thing that I'm noticing that's kind of interesting is you can see we have the blue dot once again. In one of my recent unboxings, I looked at one of the newer packs from the living card game series that they have, and they had removed the blue tag, representing that this is the English equivalent for the game. Very interesting for this that they would have gone back to that. Let's go ahead and move this off and zoom in a little bit and take a look at these sheets. Here we have the boss monster or ancient one cards. Oh wow, I love that artwork. That is pretty awesome. And I'm wondering if these are going to be the minions that spawn with it, or maybe the minions during the game for it. Be interesting to see. Very cool. Next up, we have all of the tokens for the game. Let's go ahead and open this up and take a look. Come on. Ugh. And let's see here. We have very thick, I don't know if that comes through or not. It's a very thick cardboard. I like that a lot. We have these little icons. A searcher icon. Let me see. Let's go ahead and see if we can keep this side by side. There we go. All right. So we have the lead investigator icon. Oh, that punched beautifully. I love a good punch. There we go. Some barriers. So that's kind of interesting. Now it looks like we have a intact, come on, focus. There we go. So we have an intact barrier maybe, and then a broken barrier. Interesting. There we go. Then we have these little icons. Let's see, they are damage tokens. Then we have the gate tokens. That's what all these guys right here are. And yep, just like all the rest, it's punched nicely. Clue tokens, and here we have our ritual location tokens. That's probably something we're going to have to figure out in the game. Then some summons creature tokens. All of our different investigator tokens. One of the beauties of all of the Arkham range is that as you increase your Arkham collection, you will get, especially once you start adding in things like from the Mansions of Madness line, you will start to get miniatures for a lot of this stuff. And that will allow you to replace some of these minion tokens or these investigator tokens with miniature representations of them. And for me, anything that adds to the game and the play, the reality of the game is a bonus for me. So having this Arkham Horror line from Fantasy Flight being that a nice line that you can in a sense add to it from the other games, miniatures in specific, it really does for me adds a bunch. Then it looks like we have some more clue tokens, some health tokens, yep. Health tokens. Add that to the pile, and then here we go. Start looking at some of these miniature or these different villains. Very cool. That looks like a whole lot of evil that's going to be coming at you. Especially, I mean, oh. And as of right now, I don't really know what all this iconography means, but very interesting. It's all on each of the cards. Interesting how that's flipped. Interesting. Next, we get into the actual board. And once again, we have our blue dot. So we know this is the English equivalent. And here we go. And at the end of the video, I will definitely do a blown out shot of the board so you can see it fully in one shot. This is very interesting. It looks like everything has its own place on the board. I'm guessing these are the number of minions that can spawn in them. The potential clues, I'm guessing, for the game. You might, because again, this, you're going around, you're searching for those ritual items. Very interesting. I like the graphics on the board. Everything looks really nice. It's a very nice large-scale university. Of course, when we get to our miniature that's going to be on here, our figure token, he is in no way to scale for this board, but here I'm okay with that. Everything looks pretty good. It's a pretty gruesome board as I look closer at it. Just look at all this red. I'm only assuming that this is blood all over the place. Maybe they're leaves. Let's go with leaves. It's a fall day, but this could be taken in a couple different ways. Nice fall day, nice bloody day. I like this board. This is a nice looking board. The back side is just a straight black board. I call me selfish. I do like to have a double-sided board. You know, if you can quickly add another map, a double side to the map, to where you could have easily had a second location. So maybe you'd have like the university or maybe the city, and you could have played on either one of them with probably very similar rules moving around. You may have had to have a few. I don't know how the game works just yet. There may be cards that are very specific to the locations. But just adding a double-sided board is a easy way to do some replayability and add-ons. Next, we get on to the standees. And amazingly, none of these look broken. I have had terrible luck with some of these always coming broken. So there we have. That's one of the problems with having a standee game, is that these little parts break so easily. Another reason why it's hugely beneficial to add in something like the miniatures from, say, the Mansion of the Madness line, and get rid of that kind of stuff. And then we have two sets of cards. Again, with the blue dot iconography. Let's go ahead and take a look at these. And these, let's see here. We have, looks like the investigation on the one side. So, here we go. So these are going to be our reference cards. These are our action cards. It looks like each investigator is going to have their own set of actions. There we go. We'll set that there for now. Open up the small one. And priority cards. Okay, interesting. Numbered 1 through 30. I'm guessing these are part of for the solo play, maybe. Let's stick that there. And finally, some item cards. All right, well, let's start here with these small priority cards. And this is interesting. On the one side is all the same, and on the other, okay, no, they are different. And this right here, I don't know what kind of spoiler territory this falls into. So be warned. But I like how they're numbered. So I'm guessing for replayability to quickly recreate this priority deck. And then we have our items. I'll have that same key back. Go ahead and take a look at these. And our quick reference cards, 4 of them. I'm guessing each one is going to be, yep, each one is the same, one for each player. Very nice. And then finally our action cards, 10 for each investigator. So let's move this. There we go. Interesting. And once again, with these, I don't know the game just yet. I don't know if we're going to be getting into any kind of spoiler territory. So when it comes to these, you might want to be careful. Those were for Jenny Barnes. Next up, we have Michael McGillen. Here's his back. Once again, guys, I'm not sure how the game plays. I don't know if this spoils anything, so be careful. Then we have Rita Young. And Tommy McDonough. Here's his back. I like how each character has their own back. It really helps you to distinguish those players from the others quickly. And then Pete. Ashcan Pete. Gotta love it. His back. Looks like he has his dog. Be interesting to see if they've incorporated his dog here in this. And already I can see the potential for expansions and upgrades to this game just within the investigators, adding additional investigators and adding additional ancient ones. And we'll finally look at Lily Chen, her back. So again, especially for solo capacity, this game I can already tell is going to have a ton of replayability, and being that it is a smaller 30 to 60 minute game, that you will be able to play it through a couple times, and really be able to get a bunch of games in under your belt and play it a bunch of times, with 6 different investigators to be able to choose from and 3 different ancient ones to be able to fight. That is a bunch of games. What is that? 18 right there, right off the rip. And that's just playing solo. Once you start adding in additional players and different configurations, the replay value just begins to skyrocket. And I'm guessing that each character, especially how they have their own 10-card decks, are going to be very different from one another. So the different combination of investigators that you have within your game can definitely change the way you play and the outcome and everything. So I am liking that a whole bunch, and it's I can see a good bit of potential replayability here. Well, that is the game. I hope this unboxing helped you to determine if it was something you would be interested in yourself. And then once again, here at the end, I will zoom out and give you a zoomed out look at the board. But until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye. Something else that I wanted to touch on is one of the other components that you can kind of see that I kind of just brushed over was this insert right here. It is basically to just level up your smaller components, your cards, from your board and everything like that. But one of the beauties of this is that it does put a lot of empty space within your box. So as they do add expansions and everything, the likelihood of you being able to fit everything in the base game box is pretty high. I like that a lot. I do like these Ziploc bags that they included for the standee stands and all the cards. It really is an easy way to keep everything, settled in here. So the little extras they put in here are going to be kind of nice. It'll be interesting to see as they add to the game, how additional expansions are going to fit in here. But for a pack up and add on capacity, I am liking what they have going on here, and what and how the box is all laid out for easy setup, breakdown, and upgrading. And here we have the zoomed out view of the board, so you can see it in its entirety. And coming back down to each individual little section. So the board is a nice size, but for its overall footprint, it does look a bit on the average size, which is a good thing for board games. A lot of times once we get into these big board games, the table space that they require starts to get bloated and expand quickly. With this one, it looks like you're just going to have your main board that everything is going to be on, so it's always to this size, and then you will have maybe off to the side just some of the components that you will use, maybe your deck for your individual player, if of course it does not go in that slot right there. But so its footprint is a nice size. I'm liking what I'm seeing here, and the fact that you have an idea of what that footprint will be when you come into the game. You know that starting this game, this is the space I'm going to need. That it might not blow up with tons of extra rooms or tiles or whatever added on. Very nice.